All right. So welcome all to the meeting. I would love to just go around, and I'll just sort of go around my screen and give everyone a chance to say hello, introduce themselves, and tell us what they do, and then we can go back around and have some conversations about how to provide resources for businesses and what do businesses need, and how we can collaborate to help with that. Sound good? Can I pick? I'm just going to go around my screen. Amy Sterndale, you're first. You're mic'd. You're
muted. You're muted.
I know. It always happens. Hi, thank you. I'm Amy Sterndale. I'm a business advisor with the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. So not bored these days. I am, like all of you, have been just spending all of my time talking to businesses about COVID and, all the SBA loans and all of those things. So, here or after this, if anybody has a question, my email is just my name, which I think is on the screen, amy.sterndale@unh.edu. Just drop me a line. Usually there's a whole form to fill out, but I'm just trying to keep everybody moving forward with any of those questions they have about the PPP and the EIDL and stuff. You can ask me stuff here, but also if we don't have time, just reach out later. But I'm also, Lisa, like you, I think, I'm starting to feel that shift of, now that we're through that, fourth round of funding, I'm starting to work on webinars to put together. I think we're going to do our next week on retail, helping people think through some of those steps to get ready for retailers to reopen. And so I'm happy to talk today about some of my thoughts on kind of what I think some of those key things are going to need to be. I'm not the state. I don't have any state information. The governor is going to make his decisions about when to do things and what the official word is on what to do. But I think there's a lot that we can be doing in the meantime to start getting our heads around it and planning it. And not just retailers, but, restaurants and everybody. So that's my.
Fantastic. I'm glad we can talk about that. So, I would love to make sure that we're sharing all those webinar opportunities and things. So
Sure.
That's very important. Thank you. Mr. Hoffman, my friend.
Ms. Kessler. I'm Ira Hoffman. I'm a mentor from the SCORE chapter in Portsmouth, and I am the representative from SCORE to the NBA. So I'm very pleased to be able to be here. I am also one of a subgroup of the SCORE mentors out of the Portsmouth chapter that has received a great deal of information and some special training on the government programs that are available to help support businesses that are impacted by COVID-19. We have a dedicated team who can answer questions on an emergency basis. And SCORE has also been putting together a number of virtual workshops that focus specifically on COVID-19 issues. You can find anything that you need at seacoast.score.org. And if anybody wants to, you can certainly get in touch with me or with our other certified SCORE mentor that's on the call.
Thank you. And the NBA has been trying to share any SCORE upcoming event through our social media and our email blast, so people know those are resources, and we'll end up doing the same with SBDC. Thank you. Jennifer Wheeler, you're next.
Hey everybody, nice to see you all. Some familiar faces, some faces I look forward to meeting more. Jen Wheeler, the president of the Exeter Area Chamber of Commerce. For those of you that are not familiar with the Chamber, it's a membership organization committed to supporting business and building community in the 10 communities we serve. Newmarket is one of them. Other communities are Exeter, Stratham, Brentwood, Newfields, Kensington, East Kingston, Epping, Kingston, and Raymond. I do see some chamber members in little boxes, so it's always nice to see you. Our focus right now is supporting our members in the ways that they need support, because it's different for everybody, trying to share information, but also advocating for businesses at the state and the national levels as best we can. We've also put together a series of weekly webinars. I know Brenda and others have been on those. Developed pages on our website with resources, and have launched the Shop Local Rewards program, which I can talk about in a little bit, because I know everybody I know we've got to go around the horn, so I can share a little bit more about that in a bit. So it's really nice to see you, and thanks for the invitation.
Glad you're here. Thank you, Jen. Steve Swalja, you're next, sir.
And I'm not muted, which is great. So Steve Swalja, financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual. I've been pivoting a little bit to be a little bit of an SBA PPP resource, but I'm thankful that Amy is here because she knows far more than I will ever know. So I defer to her guidance there. So I work with small businesses really from a planning perspective. Lately, that's been a little bit more of a counselor role because a lot of people are more focused on how do they remain in business, how do they keep their employees and pay their own expenses. So trying to help them with some budgeting questions as well. Generally speaking, normally I am doing long-term planning for folks. So that's retirement and continuity planning. So Steve Swalja, Northwestern Mutual.
Thank you, Steve. Miss Brenda Richards, nice to see you.
Thank you for the invitation, Lisa. I am a Seacoast Score mentor, working with Ira quite closely. I would say that what we can contribute today is I've been finding that my clients want to check in more regularly than usual. Protocol is usually once a month, and I have several clients that I'm meeting with weekly. So I think we just need to find ways to reach out to people. And you said that you haven't seen all of your NBA members, then you gotta hunt them down and get them to talk to you, because I think some people are just hiding in the corner. Talk about ways to pivot their business and think outside the box for the new world.
Great, thank you, Brenda. Appreciate that. Miss Marcia Carr, nice to see you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, haven't been there for a while. Marcia Carr, I'm a Tai Chi instructor. And of course, all my classes had to get canceled because of the COVID. Today I'm just kind of hanging out just to see what's going on. It's been a while since I've been there, and I just wanted to touch base with everybody and just see how things are going to move forward. So that's just me.
Fantastic. Glad you're here. Thank you. Christian, would you like to say hello?
Hi, everyone. I'm Christian Matthews, Newmarket Town Councilor. Really here just to kind of listen to you all and maybe try to develop some strategies of what we can do from a town council perspective. Right now, we're kind of in patience mode. Kind of letting the Newmarket emergency management protocols kind of go through, kind of letting Steve take some time to work through things. But we all know that, this social distancing could be a while. So us on the town council need to develop plans moving forward to help you all. So I'm hoping to listen and hopefully garner some ideas.
Perfect. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Miss Nancy Peacock. You're mic'd.
All right, thank you. Good, I have my dog here. So anyway, good afternoon, everyone. I feel grateful that we're all here today. I work from my home as a health and wellness coach, and I am a Reiki master, and I usually have clients in and out of my residence, and that is not happening, but I'm able to connect online with some of the other programs that I do, and I'm grateful for that. As an ambassador for the NBA, Karen Schuster's leading up many of us to be calling people, and I have made a few calls, which is very enlightening. Also a deacon at the Newmarket Community Church, which is also trying to figure out how to open up eventually, safely, and also is trying to maintain revenue during this period of time. So there's a lot of different things going on here right in Newmarket, which is where I live. So as a concerned citizen, I am here to stay as up to date as possible and fill in when I can to see how we can all move forward from this soon.
Great. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Ms. Lynn Davey, nice to see you. Would you like to
You too. So my name's Lynn Davey. I'm the owner of LD Creative Designs, which is a marketing company located in Newfields, New Hampshire. So I provide my clients with graphic design, web design, and social media management services. A lot of my work these days is focused on my non-essential businesses, making sure that they're staying top of mind with their clients and potential clients through social media, making sure that any place that their business information is, so on the website, Google My Business, Yelp, making sure that's all up to date, so people that they know that they're temporarily closed, or any kind of those different things, because you don't want people going to your website and thinking you're open when you're not. And then for my essential businesses, just making sure that people know that when they come in to shop that they're safe, and then to also be offering the curbside pickup delivery. So it's been challenging to kind of work out the kinks in a really short time, but so far so good. So hopefully keep that going.
Great, thank you. And we do need to add that Lynn does all the marketing communications for the Newmarket Business Association, which she does a fantastic job. So, so thanks for being here, Lynn. Miss Karen Schuster, nice to see you.
Hi, Lisa and everybody. Good to see you all. I'm also an ambassador with the NBA and a small business owner. So my prior business shut down in December, so I started a new one, and it's Eagle Eye Editing. So I'm doing editing and proofreading, which is lucky because I can do that out of my home. Steve gave us a lot of great feedback from some of the businesses that he talked to about what kinds of things would really help them. So our ambassadors are meeting tomorrow, and I put together an agenda. So we're going to be tackling those different areas. Things like, what did people want? They wanted to know what restaurants were open for takeout, what stores were open, and all kinds of things like that. So very practical things having to do with the community. So we'll be working on that, and we'll get back to Lynn with all that information so she can put it in the newsletter and put it out on social media for the community. So that's what's going on now.
Great, thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Amy, oh sorry, thank you. Amy Gigande.
Hello, my name is Amy Gigande. I am, many of you might know me from Amy at the Rec. That's what I post as on the social media group pages in Newmarket. I work for the Recreation Department, and also an advisor on the Newmarket Business Association for many years, in the respect that we collaborate on a lot of events. The NBA sponsors, and we work together quite a bit. More, I guess, in regards to the conversations we're having today in the NBA, the Recreation Department provides a summer camp / daycare in the summer, and as businesses are getting back on board and employees are coming back on board, there's this debate on whether or not summer camp, daycare / what parents use it for, can run, or are we not able to run, and therefore parents aren't able to have daycare. So it's kind of a tipping scale on what is more important at this point. So I can certainly speak. I've been listening to a lot of the task force conversations that the New Hampshire has had, and been just working on that aspect. So I'm here for that.
Thank you, Amy. And Wes, welcome. I'm glad you're able to join us. Do you want to come introduce yourself? Your camera's off and your mic's off, so I don't know if you're able. All right, well, we'll see if Wes comes back. I don't know if he's just listening. So thank you all for oh, there you are. Hey, Wes. You still have your mic off. Can't hear you. Yeah, there we go.
How's that?
Much better.
Oh, good. Wes Merritt. I have chiropractic office in Durham. You're mostly all new to me, but but Christine Suter had from the Durham Economic Development had invited us to join in. So I had some time. I have been open here in my practice, but in a very limited way. We're seeing basically just patients who are in acute pain, trying to prevent them from needing to go to emergency rooms and urgent care, and decreasing the load on those facilities. We certainly have seen a rather large, the fact that the university is closed, and not just closed, but cleared out. So the majority of employees aren't here. It's been a big impact. But just curious to see what you're all up to.
Great. Well, I'm thrilled you're here, Wes. I think that's great. And I think there's a lot of crossover between communities like Newmarket and Durham, because there's so many students that live in Newmarket, or students who live in Durham and come spend their money in Newmarket, and vice versa, right? So I think the two communities have a lot of reasons to collaborate. So I'm glad you're here, and I've been trying to go to all the Celebrate Durham calls on Wednesday mornings too, to make sure we're collaborating. That was a key thing that I wanted to talk about, was ways communities can collaborate, which, the Exeter Chamber is a great example. We're Newmarket's one of their 10 communities. Durham's a great example, right on the other side. So I think collaboration is going to be one of the check boxes of things to talk about. In addition to, what are the things that need to get solved, and how can we provide resources like SBDC, Score, Chambers, as well as other members, right, to help each other's businesses. I think everyone knows who I am. I don't think I said it. I'm Lisa Kessler. I happen to be president of the Newmarket Business Association. I'm also a small business owner. I own Kessler Insurance right downtown Newmarket, and I'm really grateful that you're all here. I wanted to hear and maybe go back to a couple of you and sort of get some feedback on what are the kinds of things in Wes and any of you business owners too, what are the kinds of things that organizations like business associations and chambers and things can really do to make a difference to small businesses? So if anyone's been talking to small businesses or hear from small business, what are the kinds of things that they need?
Can I jump in with a comment there?
You may, Ira.
One of the initial comments that was made as we did the roundtable introductions was the difficulties that people are having with the incredible flow of information. In our experience, most of the information is repetitive, and it duplicates other existing information, but pretty soon it's overwhelming. I think that it would be very helpful for organizations like the NBA to provide some sort of a resource where you can cut through all the noise and find one copy of some information on one program, one copy of information on a different program, so that people don't have to look through 40 or 50 or 60 different sites that have exactly the same information. That's one of the things we've tried to do at the local level with Score and at the national level with Score. But at the national level, it just becomes another place where people can go to find a duplicate set of information. Going to someone local, an organization that you know, that you work with, can be very, very helpful and calming for people that are undergoing very stressful circumstances.
Ira, are you finding that a lot of business owners are new ones are coming to you guys and finding out about you guys and coming to you for support, and same with you and me?
I don't have the numbers in front of me. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I do. In the last 5 weeks, we've had 66 clients come to us just for COVID-19 related issues, and only 13 of them have been existing clients. So that's 53 brand new clients that we've had contact us because of issues and questions about COVID-19.
Okay. Amy?
Yeah, I mean, we've experienced the same thing. We've hired 4 new advisors across the state, and we're all working 10-hour days. I said this is my 7th Zoom meeting, and those other 6 were all clients. So it's nonstop. And honestly, it's great to feel like you know where the resources are. I appreciate what Ira said. It's incredibly frustrating for all of the business to try to sort through it all. I would say that the most challenging part is, I think a lot of people know, is the information is constantly changing. So I start every call, every webinar with, it is 4/20 right now. And then, it turns out it's different. It was $10,000 for idle, then it was $1,000 per employee. There's so many things that changed that that I think that's part of what's overwhelming for business owners is you can't possibly keep up. And I have said, we all know this is an unprecedented moment in history. There's nothing we can point to that's like, oh, this is like the Great Recession. No, it's not. It's not like anything we've ever experienced before. So the government, whatever you think of them, pushing out such a massive program, and then all of the banks having to scramble in 3 days to figure it out, and then all of the businesses having to figure out how to apply, it was never going to be smooth. But we're getting there. We're getting there. It has been really, really hard.
Okay. So, and we can talk as an MBA separately how to try to streamline information. What are the other things that oh, Jen, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, I was just going to add on to that. I think, in terms of the information overload, I feel like we're all feeling not only information overload, but also survey overload. I feel like every day I see another link for another survey to hear about the impact of COVID-19 for this person and this person and this person, which, is exhausting, and it's the same information over and over again. And so, I can say that from the Chamber's perspective, we're trying to partner with the other organizations that are doing that. And my sense is that they will all be sharing that information that they find out, which will hopefully, help with the streamlining of resources. The other piece I would add is, when this first started, one of the primary roles that the Chamber saw was to be a filter of information, to try and help you, as Ira said, cut through the noise. So I would just suggest, if you're not already, getting the Chamber's emails, to sign up for those, and following us on social media. And, we have a website that has a bunch of resources. I think when we talk about collaboration, instead of, 5 different organizations having 5 different resource pages, there's no reason why we can't, why we can't share, because it doesn't make sense to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. To piggyback on just something that Amy said, we've used this word unprecedented a lot. I feel like there's this list of cliches that I never ever want to hear again. Unprecedented is one, uncharted waters is another, the new normal is another, and pivot. Those are ones that I've heard so much of. I think, from now on we should all, take a sip of our water bottles when any of those words are shared. But I think one of the things that I've seen as a result of this pandemic is organizations are coming together and businesses are coming together to partner in new and exciting ways, and businesses are taking time, to work on themselves. I know at the Chamber we're doing that as ourselves as an organization, and are encouraging and trying to help our members to do the same thing. What are those things that you can do to work on your business right now? I think that my hope is that, some of these partnerships and innovative pivoting that businesses have been able to do, will continue, because I think we're seeing some real benefits from that.
Okay. Karen?
Yeah, I was wondering, so Ira, you have a lot of resources that you're sending out, and Amy has a lot of resources, and now Jen has a lot of resources that you're sending out. As an all-volunteer organization, I'm sure we would like to hook onto one of those areas, but I guess I'm wondering, who's our most comprehensive, who should we?
You've hit the problem right on the head. It's hard to know, and Amy has been, if Amy says nothing else today, she's made perhaps the best point of the entire hour, and that is, whatever we say at 4:29 p.m. could be different at 4:31 p.m. I'm not sure there is a best resource, but any of the resources that tie in through one of the government agencies, something like the SBDC, is fantastic. It's a great way to go.
So Karen,
I don't have a good answer for you.
yeah.
I would sorry, go ahead, Amy.
Another way to think of it, Karen, I think everybody wants the answer to that question, but I want to sort of turn it on its head and say what I think Ira and I are seeing, because Ira's Score and SBDC are just two arms of the SBA. And we're both doing the same kind of work. We do this one-on-one business advising, and Brenda as well. So we're seeing on the ground, but I think with all of the other partners like Lisa and Jen and everybody else that we work with, that everyone is working their tails off and everyone is scrambling to sort of be that best version of themselves that they can be in the moment. So I think what I'm seeing is a lot of really positive experiences where people, bankers and financial advisors are all trying to get as much of the right information in front of businesses as they can. So that has been, to me, overwhelmingly positive. I'm not seeing a lot of really negative, like, wow, boy, did he give me the wrong information experiences. More, it's just everyone is stepping up across the entire community. So while you'd love to say, oh yeah, it's this person, here's the phone number, it's just not. And I can tell you, there's so many things that I get so many questions about unemployment insurance or unemployment, benefits that I'm just not an expert at. So I have to, send them somewhere else. But but there's a lot of people who are, who have learned a lot in 8 weeks. I'll tell you that. Right?
That's true. Absolutely. And the only other thing that I'd add to that, Karen, to your question is, in terms of who's the best resource, I think, I think this is the case for anything, whether it's COVID-19 related or, anything that you're interested in, it's finding a trusted resource. So, who are those organizations that you trust, that, will share nonpartisan, helpful information in a way that is easy for you to digest, and that answer might be different for different people, for different audiences, so I guess that would be the only piece that I would add, is the trusted resource part.
Yeah, for me, Karen,
all of you. We trust all three of you. So
yes, and absolutely. The MBA, big fans of all the organizations and grateful to be able to collaborate with all of them. So we do take information from all those sources and try to just package it up a little bit, just because what we find is there's some members who, one, don't know that Exeter Chamber also covers Newmarket and is, it's one of their 10 towns, although we tell them. They don't know that Score and SBDC are even exist, let alone are free, fantastic resources to help support their businesses, right? So even though we feel like we tell them all the time, we can be another resource where we can get in front of those, those 2,000 Facebook followers and those 300 good email addresses or whatever we have now, 400 or whatever it is, just to be another point of directing them to go read more at the Exeter website, go read more at Seacoast Score, go read more from the SBDC, so they can start getting used to these resources. So I feel like there's some really good avenues to get support if you have questions about this government funding portion of what's going on right now. What about, and I'd love to hear too, it seems like there's other things that businesses are struggling with, whether it's marketing, whether it's changing their operations of their business, it's, engaging with prospects and customers. It's all these other kinds of things in addition to the whole financial piece, right? Am I hearing that correctly? So like, they're like, all right, I've signed up for the funds, it's in with the bank, I'm in line, I'm hoping to see my cash, maybe I got some cash, but they have a whole bunch of other issues, right, that they're also facing. I'd love to hear about how this, especially because this group is made up of a few business owners that can talk about their experience and a lot of great resources. How can we provide a real well-rounded group of resources? Where can we direct them to supports to help their additional challenges? Anyone have any thoughts on, obviously we're sharing Score branding art, seminars, and maybe you're talking about doing some really interesting webinars on retail and that kind of thing. We want to get them in front of those members so they know that there's some resources. What else can we do?
maybe we should ask some of the business owners, what is it that you need?
Any thoughts? Wes, Marsha, Karen, Jamie, yeah?
Yeah. Back to Lisa's question, I wanted to bring up something because you had mentioned marketing and some of those other areas. I know Kat Rodell and several of her colleagues, sorry about that, stupid phone. Not a smartphone, a stupid phone. They're put together a panel discussion answering questions from small businesses. So they got questions from 3 business owners and put together a video answering those questions. Like how can you market if you're a direct sales company and you can't go out and do parties anymore? How do you market your business? How do you get new customers? How, all those kinds of questions. So that's one kind of thing that I would share with, fellow business owners. Say, oh, this is a great video. Check that out. It'll give you some more information. So, but, I think there are a lot of other marketing things that, other kinds of webinars that are out there now. I've learned a lot. I didn't know Google My Business was even a thing, and I learned how to do it.
It's an important thing, yeah.
Yeah, and actually met somebody and he walked me through the whole thing, so.
I think there's more collaboration like that than ever. I will tell you that the NBA did our first test run with something similar where we've done very short, 15-minute little videos. We filmed our first one today, was about branding and marketing. We're going to do one next week about legal issues facing small businesses right now. And I have a couple more that we're starting to get into the loop. And we'll hopefully every couple days have a little short video that answers most common questions, sort of what are businesses facing now? How do we respond to it? How do they get ready to reopen? And what should they be working on? Those kinds of topics, but based upon things. So we are doing some of that with our members and using our members as those resources when they have the skill set to do so. We have fantastic resources here. So I'm just thrilled with this dream team sort of on this call. What else do people either need or you're hearing businesses need or that you are offering to small businesses that everyone on this call should know about so we can make sure we're sharing that information? You want to go first? Brenda?
It's not particularly specific. It's more about lifestyle. So because we're all stuck at home and we're all becoming much more computer literate, it's become very long for everyone. So I've been counseling my clients to schedule, get back in a daytime work mode. You don't have to answer a phone call at 7 o'clock at night if you didn't do it when you were normally in business. Give yourself some kind of sense of reality rather than this just cloud or bubble or whatever you want to call it that we all feel like we're in. I think that's been very helpful. For example, unfortunately, my son is in telemedicine and his birthday was Wednesday. I called him at 7 o'clock in the morning. He was already on a business call. That's just wrong. I'm like, take my advice, get yourself business scheduled again and try to have more of a regular day. So I find a lot of people working 10 and 12-hour days, which is really exhausting.
Yeah, with all the stress on top of it.
Self-care is definitely key. I think we're all finding that it's just such a strange new world that we're living in, that figuring out when you need to take breaks and that some days are going to feel pretty good and some days do not. And that's just going to be okay. I think that it's we have to really recognize the strange world that we're all living in right now and be pretty gentle with ourselves, even as we have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
I would just add, absolutely self-care is important. And I think part of that is about boundaries. And, Brenda, when I heard you share the story about your son and telemedicine and taking calls at 7 o'clock at night, those boundaries are blurry because we're all working at home, And so, you know, as challenging as it is, I think, you know, for those of us that are trying to balance work, home, kids, homeschooling or online learning or whatever it is, it's a little bit of a circus. And so trying to, as best we can, knowing that it could change on a dime, trying to just, you know, be aware and cognizant of setting those boundaries and then honoring them. I think that's important. The piece that I was going to add, Lisa, to your question in terms of, you know, what it is that we're seeing, I think, and some of you might have heard me say this before, I think, you know, as we are now in week 7, I think it is, of this thing, you know, we've kind of seen this evolution, and my guess is that Amy, Ira, and Brenda might be able to speak to this as well. You know, that businesses and organizations have needed different things at different times. You know, the very first week 1, it was, oh my gosh, how do I, you know, what the heck is happening? Survival mode, you know, the proverbial, you know what is hitting the proverbial, you know what. And so week 1 was very much in that emergency mode. Week 2 was a little bit, okay, well, let me see if I can figure out what this new normal looks like. Week 3 was, oh, here comes some assistance programs. Great, let's get ready for them. Week 4 was, and because those assistance programs all crashed. And, you know, now we are, you know, week 5 and week 6 and week 7. And so I think as we move through 7, 8, 9, 10, however long this goes, the needs of businesses are going to change because, you know, soon we're going to hear, our businesses are going to hear what happens with the PPP for them and the EIDL loans for them and what that means for them moving forward. So I think, you know, where there's opportunity is to try and, you know, as best we can, plan ahead, knowing that, that it's all very unclear and uncertain.
So
I'll jump in with a quick comment. Oh no, Amy, go ahead.
No, Ira, please.
I think Jen has made an excellent point. Early on, we had at SCORE a rush of clients that, there's no better way to describe this, they were in a panic because they were frustrated. The programs were confusing. There was contradictory information. There was too much information. The bank was telling them one thing. Somebody else was telling them something else. But that initial panic has largely subsided. And now people, I think, are moving more toward a survival mode. How do we survive until things recover? And how are we going to regain our business, rebuild our business after things are relaxed and we can get back to a more normal way of doing business? Keeping in mind that when I say a more normal way of business, no one knows what that looks like. So we're guessing in the future. But as a reflection of that, just one very brief example, all of the SCORE free workshops have gone online, and we have created a brand new workshop that's being offered for the first time in early May. And the title of this is, what is your marketing strategy in the pandemic? How are you going to keep your business going? How are you going to position yourself to come out of this on the other side? I think that's where we're seeing more and more people going with their questions and their needs.
Great. Amy?
I totally agree with that. I think that, you know, the thing that I'm, you know, the call that I was just on before this one, and I'm going to maybe take this a little bit of a turn for the dark side here, but I think it's important to name this, is that, you know, Brenda and I are about to start advising more clients on how to close their business. And that's part of what our work is about to be. I had my first one last week, and I'm going to have a lot more in the future. So I want business owners to be very aware, as incredibly challenging as it is after 11 years of economic growth. You know, Jen, I was lucky enough to get to speak to her chamber on February 5th. I just on this call, I just went and looked up the date because I've told this story a few times because it's so insane. She asked me to come and talk to the economic forecast breakfast about eventual recession and how to prepare for it. And I stood up there on February 5th, which is how many weeks ago, and said, I don't know, maybe 2021, like who knows when it's going to come. Not going to be this year. Andy Smith just confirmed, not going to be this year. And 4 weeks later, we were getting ready to all close our businesses. And so this is very, very hard. It's a lot to process, but I think it's very important. And I'm seeing my clients are in two categories that are very clear to me right now. Ones who are going to either enter this moment with too much debt or can't figure out how to adjust. And I won't use the word pivot, Jen, but I want to. So that group are really going to struggle, or they couldn't get access to the capital. And I know that, we have a few more weeks before we know who gets the PPP and the EIDL, but it's still, that money is starting to flow. The other category are these who came in here pretty healthy. They didn't carry too much debt, and they are being as creative as possible. And to Ira's point, a really important part of that is marketing. When everyone isn't going to take time or money to market right now, the best thing you can be doing is communication to your clients about how you're safe, how you're there to fix a problem they have, how you're available to them, what new things you're doing to meet them in this moment that they weren't in 12 weeks ago either. And those are the ones that I'm not going to worry about. And these are the ones that I truly am. And I'm just heartbroken to see what we're going to be doing in the next 12 months with them. We are not all going to come through on the other side. And it's important to really spend this time that we're home on cash projections. And so if you're not already doing that for your business, you should be doing that right now and looking at what cash am I expecting in? What did I have in the bank? What is every cost that I can cut right now that I can be offering that's not going to be too expensive for me as I reopen? How much staff do I really need? Because tightening those down to your core services is going to be the best way to get through the rest of 2020. Sorry, I'm like I used to be thought of myself as like the entrepreneur's cheerleader, and I'd just be like, "Go! This is such a great idea." And now I feel like I'm some sort of Darth Vader. But
well, I've always been a cheerleader, but this morning I had my first conversation with someone who said, "Well, maybe I'm going to have to close my business," which was really sad. And yeah, I said, "Well, all right, so over the next 2 weeks, punch your numbers as best you can so that we can rethink, rediscuss, make a new plan." So definitely cash flow, cash projections, and a new business plan for everybody.
Really good advice, really important. And I don't think it's so much about not being a cheerleader, it's just being realistic. Newmarket has lost 2 businesses on Main Street that I think of off the top of my head because of this. Or one I'm not sure if it was definitely because of this, but didn't help. And we just lost a little gift shop this week. So, tough times. Wes, did you want to add something?
Sure. I think, for a lot of us, the toughest thing with this is the uncertainty. I actually spoke with the Department of Health and Human Services. They're putting out their list every day. But what they're not showing is the trends. And the trends are really the thing that are going to indicate that things can open up again. So I don't know if there are anybody online here has the ability to create something like that. But I think that's actually a very valuable piece of information. I know there are the state press conferences and so forth, but even there, they don't always discuss what the trends are. In that is going to have a big impact on how things reopen. So that would be something I think would be helpful. Beyond that, it's tough because it does seem like reopening is not going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony. It's going to be a slow process, and just getting people, if the state says non-essential businesses can be open, that doesn't mean that all the customers are going to feel confident, both from a financial standpoint, and from a health standpoint in going out and doing things that put them in an increased exposure. But I don't have a lot of beyond that. You know, I don't know whether people have been struggling with the PPP and the EIDL. My personal experience was I used a local bank and it worked very well. They were confused at first, and I think everybody was, but they got it together very, very quickly, and I was able to get in on the initial PPP funding. I've talked to others around the state who went with larger banks and were put down, you know, well down the list. Now, I'm not trying to disparage any banks, but that's just my experience and my experience that I've seen with speaking with some others. So something to consider.
Yeah, I heard that too from another group kind of call like this, that people said basically anyone who went with, I won't name the very large bank in New Hampshire, hasn't heard much, but several would work with credit unions and small local banks and have had really great success. So,
and I can speak to that also. SCORE has contacts with many of the banks in this region. Without naming any names, without recommending one bank versus another, I will say that most of the positive responses we've heard from our clients have been as a result of their dealings with the smaller community banks and credit unions rather than the very large banks.
Yeah, that was our experiences too. But I would just add, if anyone on this call thinks they're doing the PPP and has not applied yet, you need to do that first thing in the morning, and it might already be too late. That money is going to run out this week for sure. I have no doubt it's going so fast. So please, you know, if you have questions, contact me or Ira or Brenda, but do not wait another day. You should have already done that if that was something you were going to do, because that money is that is a run on the bank if I ever saw one.
We don't have a lot of time left. I want to be really respectful of your time. I think we've talked and got some sense of sort of where things are. I think we talked a little bit about resources. I'd really like to make sure that we're always promoting to our members the fact that they should be reaching out to organizations like SBDC, SCORE, for additional resources, and even the Exeter Chamber is another fantastic resource for small and local businesses. You know, it's all about being part of a community and going for those resources. So, and I think we have some ideas about talking about, you know, now that the businesses have sort of gotten through the oh crap stage, you know, I was going to use a different word, to now I've got to quickly jump in and do financing, to now how am I going to survive if I can survive, right? So maybe that's where the NBA needs to provide some value too, is helping with those survival kinds of information of what do you do now, whether it's the marketing, whether it's budgeting and talking to them about cash flow, or maybe it's, you know, giving those resources and trying to find ways to collaborate with other communities. I know Durham's doing some really great, Durham is doing some great collaboration through their Celebrate Durham program, and so that's pretty interesting, where they're partnering with nonprofits and musicians and schools and businesses and trying to increase takeout and all this kind of cool stuff. So we're going to talk about some of those kinds of campaigns and things too. But are there any last minute thoughts for this that we should share that's timely, that would be beneficial to small businesses? Anyone want to?
I'd say don't be shy about asking questions.
Hi. I wanted to hear about Jen's rewards program you were talking about.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. The Shop Local Rewards program was a program that we put in place on March 20th, which I think was the week after everything closed down. But the Shop Local Rewards program, what it's designed to do is to encourage, obviously, you know, sales. So so between now and initially is the middle of May, we'll probably extend that a little bit. For every but spend $250 at a local retailer. Bring in your receipts to the chamber when the chamber opens back up again, and you can get $20 Exeter Area Chamber gift certificates that can be used at 80 different 80 different businesses in the community. So you can, when you're shopping local and collecting your receipts, you can use them at any of the 10 communities Exeter Chamber serves, or another business that is outside of that community and outside of those communities. And then, you know, I know for us, we had takeout twice, I think, and we hit the $250 mark. So so it's just an incentive to try and encourage the local business support, which is interesting because I was emailing with one of our local businesses, a chamber member, excuse me, and he was, what he said in response was, you know, one of the great things that has happened as a result of this, I guess looking for the silver lining, is that there is this, there's this new discovery, or there's sort of like the small business renaissance, if you will, where everybody is carrying the small business flag, which they should be, because small businesses are the heart of community. So, you know, I think that we hear a lot of, or what we hear and we see are those cheerleaders for local business. And so hopefully that'll continue. And the Shop Local Rewards program is one of those ways to do that. So you can find out more on the Chamber's Facebook page or on the Chamber's website, www.exeterarea.org. There's a link, I believe, right from the homepage that could take you to more information that will explain what I just explained, but a whole lot better.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. And Amy's patiently had her hand up. So Amy, you've got about less than 4 minutes.
All right, this is correct. I'm unstable internet, so I've been popping in and out, but and I'm sorry if I missed something, but one of the questions I had is, as businesses are opening, retails, restaurants, you know, at me as a consumer walking by, how do I know that restaurant is complying to CDC standards? And I'm just wondering, from a marketing standpoint, is there anything the NBA or the chambers could provide to these businesses, put on a window that says this restaurant or this location is adhering to standards, so people feel comfortable? Because you just don't know, are they following these? And then who regulates that? I don't know, but I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking of myself going, do I trust that restaurant? Do I not trust, you know? I don't know, from a marketing standpoint.
Kendall has an answer, I think.
So I would suggest this. I don't think that that the NBA or Exeter can do that. I don't think, just legally, I wouldn't want to ask them to put their name on another business, and because that's not their job to do that inspection. But what I do think, and what I'm talking to some of my clients about, is what can you do as a business to communicate to your clients at the street, in social media, through your emails, in the restaurant itself, about how you are doing this well, how you are staying safe. So if I had a restaurant, I would definitely be putting a sign in the window to say, hey, welcome back. Here's what's going to happen when you walk in the door. You're going to stand dot to make sure that you don't stand too close to the person waiting to get in front of you. You'll notice we have fewer tables. You'll notice that our servers are constantly washing their hands. You'll notice these things. We have you. We have got you. Meet people where they are at in this moment right now and make them feel confident. That's the best thing you can do. I've seen so many people on Facebook being like, I want to know how that burger's being prepared before I order it in Dover. You can't do that. You can only trust that that burger joint is not going to stay open if they are somehow not doing something well. But we also know that food is one of those really safe things in COVID. It's not being shared through food. So the concern is more, how close am I sitting to the people next to me? And the point of all of this is to meet people where they're at. Understand they are all going to re-enter society at staggering paces, at staggering levels of comfort, and you have to recognize that. And you have to say, you know, Amy, I know you're nervous. Let me answer those questions before you even ask. And somebody else, maybe Christian, is like, I know they're going to be fine. I'm not even reading the sign. I'm walking right through that door because I know this restaurant is going to be good, right? You don't, everyone's different, but the key is that you, as a business owner, is absolutely your job right now to start preparing how you're going to communicate that, even as you're waiting for the governor to give you the advice on what to do. Make sense?
Totally, I agree. I think that's true.
But don't expect any like sign on any door saying this place is clean. It's not going to happen. It's not expect that of anyone. We're all going to do the best we can, and everybody wants to keep their business open. But if you don't want to go into a store, then you don't go in, and then you order the curbside. And that's the business owner's job to make sure they can give you their product the way that you want to get it. Sorry, I'm being aggressive at the end of the day. I'm like moving from coffee to cocktail hour. Can you tell?
So on that note, it's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Time for everyone to reward themselves after a long day with a cocktail. Karen's all set. She's already got hers. When it sounds like ready, she's ready. Yep, everyone's got something. So
there you go. That looks very good, Marcia. Excellent.
For sharing your insights and your perspective. I think it was just a good norming session for a lot of us. So thank you for that time. We'll continue to share resources from all the organizations. Thank you for all the support that all of you do to support small business. And thank you to the small business owners for sharing your insights and keeping your businesses going at a difficult time. We're here for you. Anything you think of, anything you want to talk about, we'll do our best to strategize and support. So thank you all.
Thanks, Lisa. This was great.
Thank you all.
Nice to see everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.